Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, your MS students. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you how can you build end-to-end projects in ML and in DL or in other ML solutions. So today in this video, I'm going to start first stage, that is data ingestion. In the last video, we already discussed how our entire pipeline would be. If you haven't watched that video, go to the I button and watch that video. So from today's video, we'll be writing code now. Nothing theory, just a code. And it will be a fun. So for sake of the first video, like first end-to-end project video in our channel, I'll try to keep things simple. Won't write that much big code, lengthy codes. Keep things simple and do it. Anyways, this is a very simple case study. And I know you guys might have worked on multiple times. That is your credit card classification kind of a case study. I just wanted to show how can you make it proper end-to-end. Let's deploy it. Let's add CI/CD and all. So this is what our motto is. So let's start. So first of all, first stage is data ingestion, right? Now how data ingestion will work here? So assuming that data stored somewhere in our Google Drive folder, I wanted to keep things simple. I do not want to introduce any cloud right now, as it is not that feasible for everyone. That is why I decided to keep it like this. So let's do it. How can we do that? So first of all, you can see the code, right? Import G down. This is a library of Python. G down you can do by doing pip install G down. You can easily install it. And here I have selected my environment that is called env that we have created in the last video. So this is the URL of my Google Drive folder. This is exactly the Google Drive link that I uploaded all the CSVs, and I just got the link by doing anyone can access the link. This is how I created this link, and you can do it likewise. And this is the code called download folder that will download from this URL, and this is the output. And in the output I provided code slash. What does it mean? When I run the code, whatever files are inside this folder will be downloaded inside a folder called code slash. That is a code folder, I would say. And let's see how it works. Let's run this code, and then we'll decide like how to create these folders and all. So let me run this code. So you can see it's retrieving it. See, it got this built-in directory structure. Now it's downloading it. You can see code folder is being created now, and it's downloading it. So give it some time, and yeah, download completed. You can see it's downloaded two CSVs. One your code test CSV, another one is code train CSV. We have two data set, and we will try to do steps on these two data set only. Let's see. So inside our code folder, you can see it's downloaded test CSV and train CSV, right? Okay. So now this is how is the very basic structure that we have written. Now let's see how can we follow the folder structure that I have discussed last video. So let's delete this folder as of now because we don't need this folder, because we'll be storing somewhere this data. We'll try to make things proper key. In one folder, you will have all of your data. Be it how many times you call the pipeline and all, you should be able to store data somewhere properly. It should be versioned also. So you can easily understand, okay, today I downloaded this CSV file, tomorrow I downloaded another CSV file. They might be the same files, but you will have a versioning kind of a platform where you should be able to version your data. So let's start. So first of all, what I need to do, I need to create a folder here called config. Let me create a folder for configs. CONFIGS is a folder called configs. So inside this folder, I am going to create something called config.yml. Config.yml. So this is the thing I have created here, config.yml. Now what I'll do, inside this config.yml, I'll be writing something. What I'll be writing? So in this config.yml, I'll be writing something about my paths. What does it mean by path? Like for example, when I'm going to download the data from any source, that is in our case Google Drive. So we need to store it somewhere. So for that we need to define the steps here. What will be the folder? What will be the folder hierarchy and all. So as whatever data we are getting, right, that we call as artifacts. I hope you know this term. If you don't know it, just be in mind. whatever output will get from each and every pipeline, that is your data ingestion, data validation, transformation, model training, and modern evaluation stage, all will be artifacts. Whatever data will get, those are also artifacts. So let's keep it like that, key artifacts. And whatever data will be downloaded from any source, that is Google Drive in our case, will be stored inside a folder called artifacts. This is our main motto right now. So first of all, I need to mention key what does it mean by, like, how can we get the name called artifacts? I don't want to hard code it. So I'll be writing here artifacts, artifact dash root is to artifacts, artifacts, artifacts. And what does it mean by this YML file? So this YML file you can see like a Python dictionary, right? So this is a key artifacts root, and this is a value called artifacts. Now we'll try to read this YML file, and we'll try to define that. Take this key of artifact root and use this value, and based on this value you create the folder for me, and inside that folder only we'll store all kind of artifacts coming from different pipelines. So when I show you, you will better understand that. Okay, so this is called artifacts. Now the question is that once artifact creation is done, what we'll do? So once artifact creation is done, we need to write now the first pipeline stage, that is our data ingestion. Now because see, inside the artifacts we have a hierarchy. Inside the artifact you will have each and every pipeline stage, and those stages will be the folder here. So what is our first stage? That is our data ingestion. Data ingestion. So you can understand. So that is our data ingestion. Now inside our data ingestion, hold on, I guess it's okay. Yeah, data ingestion. Now what will have inside our data ingestion? We'll have a directory called data ingestion, right? So let's write the root directory for this stage. Root directory will be our inside artifacts, because first we'll create this artifact directory. Inside this directory we'll have a folder or a directory called data ingestion. So all the artifacts whatever will be coming from this stage will be storing inside data ingestion folder. And now that is done. Now what do we need to mention? Remember in the IPNB file I've showed you, this is the output thing, output folder name, right? So we need to store this output folder. We need to give this name of the folder also. So I want to keep things simple as of now. So let's not make it too complicated, and let's do it. So first of all, what do we do? Let's keep things simple and let's keep till here. Okay, so what we do, we'll try to write some code inside that pipeline, and it will be stored all the data automatically. So now our configs YML is done. Now what we need to do? There are a lot of things now we can do. First, go inside source folder. Inside source folder, you will have a thing called config, right? And let me turn off this YML file. Let's not confuse you. So let's go inside this one, and let's go inside this folder called config. I hope you can see that. And in this folder, let's create another file called configuration.py. Configuration.py. Yes. Now, what will be writing here? That is our main question, right? So first, let's see how we can build it, right? Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's write something here, configuration.py. So what will we write here? We write a class here. Exactly, write a class. What will be the class? So class is a kind of a configuration manager. So let me write it down first, so you'll better understand what I meant. Let's create a class called configuration manager. Configuration manager. So this is a configuration manager, and let's do like configuration. I guess I did a typo here. Yes. So yep. Now let's initialize our init thing. Let's make it self. Then let's do the file path, right? Because see, right now what we need to do, we need to read this YML file also, because from this YML file only we'll fetch it, all the paths and all will be required, right? That's what I mentioned here. This path, everything. So what do? We'll try to pass something called config file path. Okay, file path. So this is our config file path, and this config file path would be config config file path equals to, let's right click, is copy path. Let's keep it like that. Okay, let's not keep it this much big, and let's keep it like this. Okay, okay. But as it looks like we are revealing, like it's like okay, we are hard coding this, right? So let's do something else. What we can do, before doing anything, let's go inside our folder called constants. Go here and write something like config file path equals to, let's keep it like this here. Why I'm doing it? Because see, this is the constant things. This will be always there in the code, and it will be a same always. So let's not hard code this. Let's keep it here. Let's call this one there. That is your config.yml. Okay. Okay. So how we can call it now? How we can call this configuration.py, and how we can call this constant in our code? So let's call it. How we can call it? Let's call it like from just a second. I think I need to see my code here. What I wrote. Yes. And to do like from credit dot constants import config file path, right? So how it happens? Inside a credit folder, it went to inside a constant folder, and inside a constant folder we will be having a file path called config file path. So this is what it is right now, config file path. So I mentioned it. Now let's copy it here. Let's pass it here. Config file path, right? So this is my from credit.constant import config file path and class configuration and init self config file path. Now that is done. So after that, what we need to do? We need to read this YML file, right? We need to read this YML file. So how we can read this YML file now? So if you want to read this YML file, let me show you how you can read it. So let's go back to our experiment notebook. Let's again call it like from credit dot constant components constants import config file path. So let me run this code now. So I hope you can see it ran successfully. Now let me import my YML, because I want to read my YML file. So let me import my YML. Now let me load it. First of all, I'm gonna load it like this way, but I'm gonna read this config file path as a read mode. Then I will use safe load function that is available inside YML library. That is safe load. Then and if I see the content now, print content. If I run this code, you can see it returned a dictionary kind of output. There is a key, there is a value. Same for data ingestion. It has a separate, the value itself a dictionary here, and it has its own key and value pairs, and by calling them we can extract them like a Python dictionary. For example, if I want to extract the data ingestion, I can do like this: data ingestion. it will work like that way. Okay, so this is how it will work. Okay, so so now this is what happened. Now I need to write a function that I can write inside some my tools.py, so that I can call it while doing my writing my this code called configuration.py. So what I need to do here? So for that, let's create a function. I will write that comments there. I'm not writing here comments and all. I will be writing comments inside the code itself. Okay, just to do things in a faster manner. So what I need to do, I need to define it. Let's define the code now. Let's define read.yml file. Read.yml content, not content, YML file, for example. It has to be a path kind of a thing, right? So let's write like from path lib import path. So this one will try to make it a path kind of a structure. Path. Okay. Now what I'll do, I will try to copy paste this code here. I'll add this code here, and it should be YML, and this is how we'll read their content. Okay, it's showing error because indentation issue. Yeah. So it's not now not return. It would be now return kind of a step. Yes. Content. Yes. Now it's done. Now if I call the read.yml and if I pass my config file path, it return me the output. Now what happens if I pass something called 123? It's throwing error, right? OS error and all. And I don't want to show this big error to someone who doesn't know anything about coding and all. It will be a headache thing for them to understand that what happened there. So for that, I need to use exception handling. So let's do exception handling on top of the function now. So I'm trying to put all things inside the try block. Let me write an exception. Except exception as E. Print E, for example. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. So you can see it's just an error came up like that way. Exactly the error, no other steps. Just an error like handle is invalid, right? So, but like as a coder, I didn't understand, right? Where the error happened, and I need to understand now why it happened. And previously it was coming like a big error and chunk of errors, lot of logs and all. And it's hard to understand, okay, what happened there. So for that, we need to have our own exception, a custom exception. Let's create our own custom exception now. So why you need to create it? You need to create here inside there this one. Okay, exception.py. I have written I think 2 lines here just to make you understand. So here you can see I imported a library called import.sys, and I defining a function that will return our custom exception. And as of now, I kept as a pass. There's a customer error message exception and kept it as a pass. So this is right now is happening. So let me do one thing. Let me create this function here inside my notebook experiment, and later I'll copy paste it inside the py file. So it will be better to understand. So let me just paste it here. Okay. And what I need to do, I need to build it. But how can I build it? The question is that. So let me define it for you. So first of all, this customer message exception will take some stuffs. What's those stuffs? One is error. Another one is error underscore details. And it will be this kind of a input. Okay. And I'll tell you what will happen now. So first of all, what I need to know, I need to know the info. I need to know the info of the error, right? I need to know the info of the error. So for that, what I need to do, let me show you. Error details dot exec info. Yes, info. So what it will return? Let's see what it will return now. Let's return it. What it will return. Let's run this code now. Let's call this extension here in my code. Let's call inside the print only because We are not raising an exception here. Let's keep it simple. Let's say send the error, and error is E here, and this error is exactly the sys kind of a thing, right? Okay. Let me run this one. Now let's see what happens. Okay. Now let me run this one. You can see it came up something like what it returned actually. See what it returned. It returned three things: OS class, OS error. Second, 9 line brad is something something, and the traceback. And I need to need this traceback because the traceback will give me some information about my error. So I need to take the last one. Another three I don't require. So how can I extract them? It's a very simple Python concept. First two thing I'm ignoring, and the last thing I'm taking. So let's take it like a TB kind of a say. Okay. So now I got it. So it happened now, right? Now I need to know what file name error happened. So let's extract the file name from this traceback itself. File name equal to tb dot tb frame dot if code dot co file name. Let's now return this file, then the file name, and let's see what happened. Run this one, run this one, run this one. So you can see on what file error happened. The file on where error happened. So this is my file name. That's what I received. Now I will have my custom error message. Let me write my custom error message. Error message. So what should I write the error message? The error message will be error. Yeah, error has occurred in the where it happened in the file name this. Let's make it a string. So I guess yes. Yes. Now error in the file name, and what can I write? Let's say like and line number is, let's say, how can I extract the line number now? I extract the line number this way, tb dot line number. Okay, I'll get the line number here, and we need to show the error is, and the error is yes, so the error also. So it's better to understand from someone's end key what is happening here, right? Okay, so this is the error message details. Return the error now. So this is the error I'll get now, right? Error underscore message is done, right? So now let me define the class. Define the exception class now. Exception class. Okay. So they define a class called a credit exception, for example. The exception none it will inherit from exception class that is already built in Python. And now we accept that now I need to write my init, right? Init, and it returns something automatically in my code, but I don't want like this way. What I want two steps. I want something called my error and my error message. Error details, sorry, error details. Okay, it is. So as I am inheriting stuff from the above, let me just, I want all the functionality of it, and I just want this one. I just want this one to be there. Okay, and what I want, I guess. Okay, yeah, sorry, my bad. I need to return the error message because I need the error message here, and I need these error details. Error details here, error message here, and here will be our error message. Okay, we'll take it from there, and then let's imply the error message, that is our self dot error message. Now, so the error message would be, we call the error message detail. the what I have created here. Let's follow it here. Let's not do it here. Okay. So this is the error message details. So let's write it like this way. So what was the input here for this case? Error and error details. Error message and error message. Error details, right? That's what we got. Write a string str class this underscore str this underscore str underscore. Now what I need to do? Need to write a self here, and let's return a beautiful output. Return this self dot error message, right? Okay, let's run this code. Now let's run this code. Let's run this code. Again, error came up, but if we go below, you can see the created exception. What is the exception? Error occurred here, and line number is this, and error is this. It's a complete clear-cut output. You got it. So accordingly, you can take actions. Okay. So I guess this code is ready, right? So let's try to copy the code here and let's try to paste it here. And our code is ready here. So let's do it. And now what we need to do now, this function that I wrote here, right? Is the function I wrote. Here's the function I wrote. Let's copy paste a storage somewhere. So inside utils, you will have a file called common.py. Inside the common.py, we'll try to keep all the Python functions, okay? All the Python functions that we'll be calling. And inside init.py, I will try to call that one. It is called from credit dot utils dot common import read YML. So you'll be able to see why I wrote it here. I will explain you why I wrote it here. So as of now, let's keep it like utils init.py common.py. Okay. Okay, fine. Now what we need to do? So it's throwing like error right here because we haven't included this exception, right? So what we need to do? We need to call like from exception. I guess. I think I need to call it somewhere. Okay. So from credit, so it's inside credit dot exception import credit exception. So and I need to import sys also. Okay. So it's a sys file, and this is what we will do. It will try to read YML file from path. Okay. And I think I forgot to import YML also. Let me import YML also here. Okay. Okay. I guess yeah. So this is our main read YML code that will read that YML file. And let's now do it. Okay. So before that, let's try to write something else also. As you know, logging matters, right? In our code, when we want to do logging, that matters. So let's write a logging code. Okay. And let's write a logging code. So why we write it here? We write here only. That is your not here. That is inside this one. Yeah. So let's write like logger.py. Logger.py. So we did a log steps. Whatever is happening, we'll be trying to log it. So it will be better to debug later, or you can have some logs, see what's happening behind the scene. So let's do it. So for that, I'll try to import some stuffs that I already prepared for you guys, and that is this one. I tried to import login. I tried to log the datetime model to create our log file name. So we'll try to create our log file name. So this is a log file name that I have kept here. Or what it will do, Let me show you what it will do. Let me just again copy the code here. Let's come in the notebook experiment. So she see what happens. So if I run nothing, like let's print this log file, what it will return. Print the log file. Just on this code. So based on the timestamp and time, everything, it will try to return you the log file here. Right now it's 6:57 morning from my end. So it's coming like that way. Okay. So if I run this code, see now it's 58. So whenever you are running now, you will have a different number. So it won't be like same, right? Every day it will be different number. Okay. So that is why I kept it like that, so that our log file name will be always unique, right? Okay. So I think this is clear. And now let's write a log path now, like where we will store the logs. So how a log path will be. So let's write the log path here. Log path equals to, we have ways dot path dot join. Log path will be we'll try to keep it in inside the logs. Okay, we'll try to keep it inside the logs. Then inside a logs folder. Yes, I guess yeah. We'll try to keep it inside a logs folder. And after that, we'll try to pass the log file name. That is your log file. Okay. And I think I'll try to call something called from root. So it will try to get things from the root directory itself. Let's say this from root, and if I call it here and like this way, and if I run it, so it will be like this is the path. If I print the path now, log path. Let me show you how log path will come up here. And I guess yeah, it is a mirror. So I think I need to check. I think I haven't installed that. Let me install it. Install. Yes, so keep install is done. Let me try to paste it inside my requirement.txt also, because later I need to install it. Okay, so let's do it here. So now if I run this code, it will work. So you can see based on my data, it have created its own logs, and inside this is a path where logs will be stored, right? Okay. So this is the motto. So now what I need to do, I need to create my basic configuration files for that accordingly. So let's do it. Let's create the log file path now. This is the log file path, and now let's create the directory. So now let's create a directory here. I think I need to create a directory here. OS dot make directories log path comma exist okay true. This will create the directory. This will create your own directory, and now let's define our log file path. This is our log file path equals to. So this is a log file path, and inside a log file path only, we'll try to write the path convention with dot path dot join, and there will pass the log path and the log file, right? The log file. Okay. So this is how we got our own code, and these are log file path where all things will be stored, right? So I guess yeah. I guess I do not need to pass this log file here, because this is only the directory, right? So yeah. So how it will happen, right? So now this is my log path. With the path the join logs. So this will create this logs directory first. And once directory is been created now, so inside that directory only we'll try to create a log file path. This is a log file path. Okay. Okay. So now the code is ready. And now just let me copy paste something from the backend, because it's the same code that people write in the code itself. So let me bring it here and let me paste it here. So let's see. So this is my log file path, and let me just paste it here like it one log file path. and this is the format how it will be showing up the logs, and this is the level of the login that will be a logging info. A simple code, right? So let's copy this code now. Let's go back to this to code and let's paste it here. So I think we got it. Our logger is ready. I will use it somewhere in our code. Okay. So I guess these steps are done. Let's come back to our configuration.py. Let's write the code for that. So first of all, um, we'll need to read the YAML file, right? To read the YAML file. So let's read the YAML file, read the configuration YAML file. Let's write it that way. And how I can read it, I have a function that I written. Let's call it here from credit.utils import read YAML. You saw, right? Because I mentioned inside init.py, that's why I don't need to call the common.py. I directly got it from the read YAML directly from common itself. So from utils itself. You see it, right? And that's why I did it inside init.py. Okay, let's remove them because it's confusing us. Okay. So let's read the YAML file, read YAML. Let's read like config file path. Okay. So now I read the config file path. And what I need to do, I read the config file path, right? Now what I need to do, I need to create the artifacts directory also, right? Because as you know, I need to store my data there. So I need to create my directory. My directory means my artifacts directory where I'll be storing all the steps. So how I can create that? So what I decided, let's write a function that again will try to help me to create directories, right? Let's try to do that. Let's write a function that can help us to write create directories, multiple directories. So let me define a function create directories, directories. Okay. So let's create a function called create directories. So what it will take now, it will take a paths, like multiple paths we pass inside it, right? So that is what it will take. And then verbose equals to true. Let's keep it like that. Okay. We write something. So what will write here? I'll try to write something so that it will be able to create the paths for me. So how can I write that? Let's now write something. So how we write that one? So let's take the base path. Let's say we don't have anything empty set to here. Now we'll try to look through the path input that I provided as a list kind of input. So I'll make it as a make it a list kind of a thing. That is a Python list. So this is my path in paths. So what we'll do, I try to do it like path. So I'll try to make it a Windows based path using pathlib library. Then I'll try to get the parent path. Base path equals to path.parent. We'll try to fetch the parent path. And then we'll check if base path not in base paths. Base path not in base paths. If it is not this base path, if it is not here, right now it's an empty set. So what will happen? We'll try to create a directory, make directory, and exist OK equals to true. So then only you will create the directory. If that is not available inside base paths, it means if that is not created yet, we'll try to create the directory. And once that is created, I need to make sure I need to log it there. So by using the Python function, I can do that. Add function. So now I stored inside this base path set. I have stored this one. Now next time one loop will come, and next time if you see this base path already there inside base paths, it will not create it again. Okay. So fine. Else it will create anyway. So let's keep it like that way only. Key make directories. Where's what make directories? Yes. Path and your exist OK equals to true. Let's keep it like that way. Okay. Okay. I created a directory and I created my path here. Okay, fine. Now what we'll do, we'll do as I given like verbose by default is true. So verbose, then only I'll try to log the info. You remember I created a logger, right? I created a logger. So now I use that logger in my code now. So how can I use it? If I go back to my logger code, you can see, right? This is my logger code. So let's call that logger here. From credit.logger, import logging. It's logging. So now let me write like logging dot info. I'll try to log things. There, let me keep it like f string. Let's skip the f string. Directory created and why it is created? That is created a path. Right? So that is created in path case. And yep. And as you know, I have created the exception block just to make things simple. Let me try to put inside all this inside try block. And let's write like exception, exception, right? Exception as E. Let's raise the exception again. What is the exception? Credit exception. So E comma sys from. So these are many directory code, right? So okay, fine. So let me just copy paste this same code here inside our called exception.py, not exception.py inside our common.py, right? Let's now keep it like that way. Okay, fine. So this is right now we got it. I think I have been imported OS here, and I need to do that here for OS. And I think have I missed anything? I don't think I missed anything. Okay. And I guess I need to import the logging also there that I forgot to import inside the code. I have to do it. Yes. So now it won't be any issue. Now we have the logging, we have the exception. And now what do we need to do? We need to need to go to inside configuration code, read YAML file, right? So now let's write it. So how we'll do that? We'll try to create the directories. And with that also let's store it inside the config. So later we can call it and use it. Now this YAML contains my steps, right? What it contains? It contains these steps. Let me show you what it contains. It contains, if I call it like this, config YAML path. So it contains this. I need to extract this artifact root. I need to create this directory. So from this key, I need to extract this value artifacts. And that is why if I go back to my code, let me call the function that I created, right? Okay, let me just call it here. Create directories. I called it here, right? Let me come here. Let me just show you. Let me just call it create directories. I call that create directories here. Okay. So once that is created, then what I need to do? I need to create directories. And what I need to pass? I need to pass a list input, right? What will be the list inputs? Self.config dot self.config dot artifacts. I guess it is not working. Why? Okay, let's maybe some it's not coming up. So let's try to copy paste it from here itself. And let's just copy it from here and let's come back to our code and let's call it like this way. Not this way, but that way. Okay. So and I guess we should call it like this way will be helpful. And like let's call it like this way. Okay. So this is the artifacts root that I created. So this will be called here automatically and let me keep it like this. Yep. So now I created my directories. That is what was my main motto here. So now so now let's get the let's get that our configuration for our data ingestion stage. That's what our main motto was. So right, get data ingestion config. Let's write the function name. So config. And let's see what it will return to us. It will return to us nothing but a thing called data ingestion config. Okay. So what it will return? It will return as a data ingestion config. Data ingestion config and pass. Right. Now what is the exactly this data ingestion config is? Okay. So now what will be the data ingestion config? Right. So let's define it somewhere. Let's go back to our let me cut all this first and let's call all of this. Let me go to the folder called entity. Let me create a folder file called config entity .py. Okay. I create a config entity.py and from there I'll try to create my data ingestion config. And let me write it first. So from data classes, I need to import something called data classes. Import data class, and you'll understand why I am writing this. So I have imported the data classes as well as I need to use pathlib. From pathlib import path. Okay, code is done. Now what I need to do, I need to define our define data ingestion config. Data ingestion config. Config. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's write like first let's write the class. The class I write here data ingestion config. Data ingestion config, yes. And what it will return to us? That is our main question right now. So right now we'll return not too many steps, but very simple steps. We'll try to return, let's say, in our case, if I think we return only the folder path, right? Just a folder path where our all data will be stored. Right. So let's keep that thing and that one only. That our raw folder path. Raw folder path. That will be your path kind of input. And that already called here from pathlib import path. I guess it's path, not that path. Yes. Raw folder path. Apart from that, I don't think I need to return anything else. Okay, let's keep thing only simple as it will be downloading the data inside a folder only. So let's keep things simple and let's write like it will be returning only a raw folder path. And let's again call it like likewise from credit in dot from credit dot entity dot config entity import data ingestion config. That is how it is here. And if I come back here, if I call it like from config, right, data ingestion config. So from config sorry, from credit, no, not here. Why I'm calling it here. Go here, insert configuration.py file. Let's call it like from credit dot one with credit dot entity import data ingestion config, and that's what it is written here. So now let me finish my data ingestion config code now. So what I need to do now, I need to return something, right? So let's first take our config. What is the config here? You can remember, right? I have called this one, this boy, self config. And now what I need to do, if I go back to my YML file, it will be easier for you to understand. So what I need to do, I need to take this one. I need to take this one, data ingestion. I need to call this key. How can I call this key now? Let me do it like this way. Let me call this key. Sorry, I pasted the wrong one. I think I didn't copied it. Okay. And let's call it like this way. This way. Let's do this. Okay. Let me call it like this way. Yes. So I called by data ingestion key. So now I called my data ingestion key. Now I'll try to store my data, right? Inside this key itself. So I can do that. So for that, I need to first create a folder. Like inside a data ingestion folder, I'll have a folder. And inside that folder only data will be stored, because what I want to have a unique folder name every time, because I wanted to do versioning. So based on the current timestamp, it will be stored data. So it will be easier for you to understand when and what data will be fetched, and when what data was we are using while building this end-to-end project. So again, let me try to detecting the current date time, detecting the current date time for our code. Current date time, and as we know, let's call now date time. Okay, I think I did not import a date time from date time. From date time, import date time. Okay, now let's call that date time. Date time on date time now, I guess. Yes, and date time dot now, I guess. No need to call date times 2 times. So yes. Now creating the folder, creating a data ingestion folder name, creating data ingestion subfolder name, for example. Subfolder name. Okay. Subfolder name. So the folder name will be date folder equals to, let's now use this now we created a strip time. So year, month, date, then we will take hours, percentage, right? Hours, minutes, second, yeah, it took automatically, right? Okay, so I have my code and I had, yes, so my folder is created, right? So now what I need to do, we need to path of the raw folder. Need the path of the raw folder. So how we'll get the path of the raw folder? Path of the raw. That is our raw folder path. Raw folder path equals to, our raw folder path will be, our raw folder path will be like a way. Let's get a raw folder path, and our raw folder path will be os.path.join. So I think I have an imported that OS code. OS, okay, it's an OS code, and this is my raw folder path, that is os.path.join. And how will be that? So first I need to extract this config, right? Because when I will extract that, this data ingestion config contains a root directory, and this root directory have its own artifacts / data ingestion, right? So what I need to do, I need to extract this root directory also, because I wanted key this folder structure should be like that way only. So let's create a root directory. Let's fetch our root directory here, If I come back to the code, let's call our root directory. Yes. Yes, yeah. So let's call our root directory here. Root directory. Root directory. Okay. And I think I need to change something inside this code that I saw right now. If I go back to my YML, right? Where is my YML? I wrote my YML inside this configs. Yes. Let's keep it only, not artifacts. Let's keep it like data ingestion only. Because I do not need to pass the artifacts here because my folder name will be data ingestion only. So let's keep it till this one only. Okay. So, and if I run this code only, you can understand that. I guess I think I haven't updated this path yet. Or I updated this code, right? This is my query.yml. I updated this config YML. Yes. Now if I run this code now, and if I run this code, okay, yeah. Now you can see only data ingestion came up, and that's what I need, right? So from data ingestion, I will get this dictionary, and from dictionary only I'll get this root directory. So same, I went here and I got my root directory. Okay. Okay, fine. So now what I need to do, I need to create my raw folder path. So how the folder path will be? First the config that contains our data ingestion, and then the folder that is our data folder, and that's what we will need to create now. Okay. So this is done, and now let's create that directory. Create that directory. Create that directory. Okay. So already you know I created this function called create directory, and it will create this raw folder path. Raw folder path. Okay. Okay. So this will create the raw folder path, and let's return something now. It is just a config. Now we need to return it now. So let's return this data in just a config. So already I call this data in just a config, and it wants a simple thing, nothing but if I go back here, you just ask for raw folder path, and this is what only I return. Raw folder path. Raw folder path equal to what do our raw folder path right now? Raw folder path equals to raw folder path. That is what will return now. And let's return now. I guess. Sorry. Yes. Now let's return this one called data ingestion config. So I think our data ingestion config is ready. And let's now again put it inside try except block. So it will be easier for you to debug. So from exception credit dot exception import credit exception. Not sure the spelling of it. Yes. Credit exception. Let's now put the entire code inside try exception block. So let's write let's now do it in that way only. State here. Except exception as raise, I guess. Yeah. Yes. Raise credit exception, not credit exception. E-commerces from E. Okay. I think I haven't imported the sys library also. Let me write a sys library here. I think our code is ready, right? So our data ingestion config is ready right now. So what I need to do now? Now I need to go to my components. Let me go to my components. This code is ready, and I think let me call it here also from credit dot configuration import. I guess I need to call it here configuration manager. So easily they can call you, right? Okay. 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 So it's done. Now let's go to our data ingestion. Let's go back to our data components folder. Let's create a file called data ingestion config. Data ingestion. So here you write a code that will try to do the data ingestion job for me. So already I know what is a job, very simple job. The simple job is to just write this code and it will return you the output. Correct. So how we'll do that? Okay, let's see. Let me write the code on top of below this one. Is it okay? Let's write first inside our data inside our notebook experiment, and I'll write the copy paste the code there. So let me define a class, simple class called data ingestion. Simple class called data ingestion. It will take input. It will take input as init the cell comma only the config, and you know it's a data ingestion stage, so I need the data ingestion config, and I haven't imported it here. Let me import it from credit dot. I guess it is because of this it's coming up. So from credit dot, I have to call it from my config, not config, from my entity import data ingestion. Haven't I called it in my code? Okay, I called it data ingestion config from entity data ingestion config. Yes. Now let me run this code now. Okay. Now let me uncomment this code now. So what I need to do, I need to call this data ingestion config here. Okay. So this is my data ingestion config. Now let me check it like self.config. Self.config equals to config. Okay. Config. I think I don't need anything more than that because I have everything anyways in my code only. So I don't require that. So let me just do one thing. Let me just write a function, write a method, I would say, that will fetch data from drive. Just like this one, fetch data from drive. And what it will fetch? And what it will fetch? It will fetch the link. Let's say that like a URL. It's like a URL, a string, str kind of URL. Okay. So what it will do? It will do nothing but just a simple thing. Let me just go up. And this is exactly the code I will take it. Okay. A simple code, very simple code. Let me import not here. Okay. 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 Now the thing is that what I want this URL somewhere stored. So how do I store it? For that, I need to go back to my data ingestion config. The URL. I need to know, not from here. Let's not keep it here. Let's try to do one thing. Let's go to our config for YAML. And let's store the URL here. URL, data URL. And let's store the URL here and let's try to go to configuration. Not configuration, go to notebook experiment. I think did I delete that? Or what? Okay, yeah. This is my notebook experiment. Let me copy this one, copy the drive link that I had here. Control C. And if I came here and I paste it here, it's a drive link, right? It's a string anyways. Let's treat it like this way. It's a string. Let me come back here. Let me write a toggle about drive. So okay. So now I got it right. Now this is my root directory and this is my URL, and I'll fetch it from there itself. So what we'll do? Okay. Let's now do one thing. Let's call that inside this notebook experiment where it is here. So let's remove this one now as it is not required. I'm showing a fake token. I don't need it. Okay. So this is the URL. We'll get it. So let's call it like a URL here. This is what I got from here. Now the output. What will be the output folder? I hope you can remember I have created a configuration manager, right? So let me call it like from credit.config import configuration manager. So if I call that class here called configuration manager, and what it was taking as input, it was taking the config file path as an input automatically. Okay, I don't need to call anything else. It will take it. Okay. Now I need to take the data ingestion, right? The data ingestion config here. That's what it is returning here. This is returning the data ingestion config things, right? So let me call it. Let me call it like c dot get data ingestion config. Okay, data ingestion config. And like data ingestion config cfg, let's say. So as I run this code, you can see I got my data ingestion cfg. And now what I need to do, I need to extract the raw folder path name from here. Let's call it like dot raw folder path. So this will try to download the data inside this our raw folder path. It's a simple dimple, very simple dimple situation here. Nothing more than that it will do. This is just it will do that only. And now what I need to do, as you know, I do not want to I want to make it private because I just want to directly call it. So you don't need to do anything, you need to just need to call like ingest data or get data, for example. Let's like get data. You just need to call till this called get data, self.get data, and then you need to call by self dot automatically my code that is fetch data from drive. And you need to pass a simple thing that is a URL here. And how we can get that URL, right? So for that, I need to get the URL from my config.yml. I need to get the URL from my config.yml. But how can I get that config.yml here? So let me just think about it. How can I get that URL here? Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Hold on a minute. URL I need to paste. Let's try to read that. Let's try to read that YML file that we have created, right? Read YML. Let's create the read YML thing. And I think I didn't call it anywhere. Okay. 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 I will call it, but let me call it. So from credit dot YML, not YML, credit dot utils import read YML. And now I'm gonna read that YML file. And that is a config file path. Let me just again call that one also here from credit dot from credit dot in the constant import star. It means all whatever was there. So I'm calling it here only. There is a config. Okay, still not okay. I haven't run this code yet, so that's why it is not coming now, I guess. But what is not allowing it? Not component is a constant. Sorry. So I have to call it. Okay. So config file path. Okay. So from that I'll get it. I'll get the URL now. I'll get the URL. URL equals to self.config. Let's not keep it config because it's a YML, right? So CFG. Let's keep it like a CFG underscore Y. So now let's call it here. CFG Y dot URL. I'll got the URL. So this is what we'll try to download the stuffs data from data ingestion step. Directly I'm getting the data. So directly I'm calling this function and it will be downloaded automatically. So this is what will be in our data ingestion code, and that is what I'm gonna paste it here. It's just a simple class, and I'm gonna try to record all the necessary imports All these imports I'm gonna do here inside this code only. So let's come back here. Let's import all of them first. Okay. And then what I need to do, I need to call this one also there. So I'm not gonna call it here because anyways I'm gonna do it when I'm gonna call it from the pipeline itself. So I'm not calling it here, but it will be working automatically. I guess I'm missing some imports. Okay. I didn't get this import here. That is one problem. And the same for data ingestion, CFG. What I got from here, I guess. And let me come back here. Let me check once raw folder path if I get it from here. This is my code here. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's not write this code in this way. Let's change something here. I got an idea how I can change it. So what I'll do, I'll try to make it simple. Let's not do it like that way. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass output also an input. Like you need to pass something as an input to get things here. Okay. So let's do like that way. I will gonna get that URL as an input, right? As well along the path. Along the path also I'll get the path of the folder, raw folder path, raw folder path, raw folder path, raw folder path. It will be a path kind of a stuff. Okay. So I'll I'll change it and let me just call this raw folder path here instead of this one as an output. Okay. I call the raw folder path. I'm going to import it like from pathlib import path. That is what it is. And now I'm going to get the data where I'll pass the URL first. This is the URL and I need to pass the raw folder path. I need to pass the raw folder path so that it can be able to download it. Let's now get the raw folder path equals to self.config dot raw folder path. And that is what I'm passing here. Now this is what I'm passing here. So this is my raw folder path right now. Okay. So I guess our code is ready. And let's again now copy paste the same code here. Yes, let's come back here and let's now copy paste the same code here. Yes. So some things I need to import now. Import path from pathly import path first. From pathly import path and from I guess import G down. That I haven't done yet. So this is what I did till now. So our almost code is ready. Data ingestion code is ready. Now I just need to do one step ahead. That is let's build the pipeline now. That how the pipeline will be. So let me go to my code. So blast page. Let's create a stage data ingestion. Let's make it like this way. .py. Okay. So now what will be the data ingestion py? So before that I forgot to the one thing in this code I need to call inside the components only. As you know, right? Like what I was doing now from credit dot components dot components import data ingestion not components dot component dot data ingestion import data ingestion. Okay. So what is the thing? Data ingestion. Okay, I call it right. Now let's come to this code and let's see how we can do it. So for that, again, let's go back to our notebook experiment code and let's see how we can do that. How we can get the stage here. Very simple thing. Let me define a main function. Actually, it's the same like I showed last time. So what I'll do, I'll call the config manager because it has all my configuration wala thing. And then I'll call the data ingestion config that already I showed in the last case. data ingestion config. So what it will return? It will return like from the config only I have created a method, right? Called data ingestion config. The method I created. So this is the method I have here. Okay. So now what I need to do? I need to now call the data ingestion class that I created from the component section. And that I need to call because that I haven't imported yet. So from credit dot components import data ingestion. Okay. Data, I guess. Let me check. I did that, but still why it's not coming up. Insert data ingestion components and yes, data ingestion. Now it came up. Okay. So now this is my data ingestion. And what I need to do now? I need to call config inside that, as you know, it contains something. Let's see why what I gave here. Okay. So as you knew that data ingestion that sorry, not this one. Actually, I'm calling a wrong function here. Yeah, sorry. So what I need to do, I need to call data ingestion here, data ingestion, and it contains a config thing called data ingestion config. That's what this is one. Okay. And now what I need to do, I just need to call only one thing to do all things done for me. That is called data ingestion dot get data dot get data dot get data. I need to call the dot get data wala thing, and let me just run this code. If I run this code now, let's see. It's doing it or not. Still not doing there. Why it is not doing there? It's doing here 751, but after creating it. Let me check why it is not doing it. I did load first. Now let's didn't create anything. No, it's not creating it. Let me check what is the issue. Let me go back here and let me just come back to my code and let me check why it is not doing that. Maybe it is not doing that because of that only. Or configuration manager. It's creating it that. Wow, it is creating the directory. Config. Config contains the root directory. It's creating that. Okay. Let me filter off on the path. Let's check what is the issue there. Hold the path. Okay. Let me call this code now here. Actually, I haven't called the main code yet. And that's why it is not doing it. I need to call the main code now just to keep it running, right? Let me call the main function now. Let's I guess let's remove this one here. Let's call the main function now. There's a name error called configure manager is not defined here. Okay. Maybe somewhere forgot to import it. So this import like config configuration config import configuration manager. Yes, I forgot to import. Let's run this one now. Let's run this one. Again, getting attribute error. DW has not URL. Okay, let's see. At getting error, page drive URL. Okay, save that. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to my what file are getting the error? I'm getting error inside. Let's check. Let's see. Let's see. Data ingestion. Okay, let's go back to my code called data ingestion.py. Let's now come back here and let's see. This doesn't have a thing called URL. Why it doesn't have a thing called URL? Configs. Go back here. It has own thing called URL. I guess I understood why it is throwing this error. Because yes, that's my mistake. Actually, it is inside data ingestion key. That's why it is throwing the error. So let's do one thing. Let's try to go back to our code and let's try to change something. So what I need to do, I need to call it from inside data ingestion, not from here. So I call it like this way. Now if I run the code, it will okay. If I run this code now, and if I run this code now, you can see it was creating that, but I guess we got again another error. It does not put data underscore ingestion. Let's see what is showing the error. There's no attribute called data underscore ingestion. Why it is showing that again? Is there nothing called data underscore ingestion? But why? If I come back here, I guess there's something wrong that I'm doing here. Okay, let me just print that. Let me just check. Nothing called data ingestion config. It's some wrong thing that what it is saying. I guess maybe I need to call it like this way. Maybe then it will work. Let me see. Okay, okay. So this steps now. Let's see. Maybe that's why it is showing the error. Okay. Let's run this code now. Let's run this code now. So you can see now it's showing up like retrieving folder content, processing the file, and retrieving folder content completed. Now see it's downloading also. Same it is showing up for us. And so it will be downloaded automatically also. Let's see. Let it download now. Okay, you can see download completed and code ran successfully. Let's go back to our folder called artifacts. You can see the artifacts. See, it has created this one called this 1223. If I go back here, you can see like it's downloaded these two steps, right? So that is what we wanted. Very simple, right? So now let's call this one inside the pipeline code and let's finish it off. Let's go back to our code. Let's go back to our let's remove this one. I guess when we are testing, it was creating it automatically. So let's go back to our pipeline code. Let's paste everything here automatically and let it do it. Okay. So now what we need to do, we need to do few steps now before doing anything. First of all, let's call the exception here. Credit dot exception import. That is your credit exceptions. Okay. And let's again put inside try block and put everything inside cache, not cache, sorry. Put in exception as E. Arrays, as you know, credit exception. E-commerce is from E. And I don't know what is E. Sorry, sys. So I will call it sys. Sys. Okay. I guess our code is ready. The final step, let's try to do like underscore name. Equals, I guess. Yes. Underscore main. Let's now try. It's not tried here because already I created that inside my function only. So let's give it a stage name here. Stage name data ingestion stage. Data ingestion stage. And now let's use the logging that we created, right? So let's call it here also from credit dot logger import logging. Okay. So logging dot info. That is your, this is f string. Stage name has created and I guess this is our main. Okay, and then call the main function, then paste it here, that finished, right? So our code is fully ready. Let's now call this one. Let's again keep things simple. From credit dot pipeline import dot stage ingestion import data. I guess let me check what is the name I gave. That is your main code. So let's let's not main, let's keep it, I guess. Okay, let's not call it, let's not do anything here. Let's keep whatever. Let's not call it here. Let's keep it blank as of now. Later we'll do it. So let's keep it like this, main. Okay, it's done, I guess. Let's now do it. Let's now check our complete pipeline here. Let's clear everything. Let's now call Python. Now let's follow the hierarchy where the py file exists, the final py file. It exit inside credit, then pipeline, then I guess not credit, inside source, sorry, inside source, then credit, not credit, then credit. It doesn't find it. Let me check. Actually, my path is okay. Yeah, credit, credit, source, credit. Then we have our pipeline, pipeline slash stage data ingestion .py. You can see, right? You start downloading it, it's doing it, retrieving it, it's downloading it now. And now it's downloading both of the files here. You can see in front of your screen. Now it's downloaded, right? Now let's go back to our artifacts. Right now is 8:17 is the timestamp. And you can see it's downloaded this two train and test CSV files. So I guess guys, we are done with our data ingestion stage. You saw, right, a lot of errors came up, lot of trial and error I did, and I finally was able to build it. This is how we used to do. And to be honest, I haven't created any scripts before writing this course. I just wrote this code on the fly here. Even I haven't stored any code in the backend, except just a small 1 or 2 lines that I created in my past project. That's why I was getting a lot of errors while doing this project. And I haven't created any scripts in the behind the scene that I can follow while explaining to you. So I tried to do myself here. So I hope you liked it, and apologies for the errors that we got in between, but yeah, we were able to solve it. Hope you like the explanation. If you find any feedback you require, please comment below and share it with your friends and family. Thank you guys for watching this video. Bye bye.